As you are aware that because of this climate change, the various components of hydrologic cycle are getting affected, and it has been presented at many forums that because of climate change, the intensity of the precipitation is going to increase, number of rainy days are going to decrease. All these predictions are there, but still a lot has to be done to carry out the quantitative analysis and see the impact. So finally, that if we talk about the hydrological extremes which are there because of the climate change, then there are two hydrological extremes. One is the floods and another one is the drought. In the floods, when we are talking about the floods, there are number of the number of causes, number of such events which are being reported worldwide. We can see that it is not only concentrated in India, but many parts of the world they are facing the problem of the flood, and because of that there is heavy losses of the human life and properties. And this is a flood zone map for India, though particularly we can see that major area which are getting flooded is of the Brahmaputra, Ganga, and some part of the Odisha and West Bengal. These are the states which are getting affected almost every year. And these kind of disasters which we are getting, these are the floods are the this most frequent disaster. Our country, one part of the other, are facing this problem every year. So it is a frequent phenomena which we are having. And these are the figures which we call as almost on an average 40 million hectare of the land is getting submerged under the floods. And this which are liable to be affected, and about 7.563 million hectare of the land is getting affected on the annual basis. And the annual average cropped area means because of flood, agriculture is also affected. Not only the people are affected, but their agriculture practices are also affected, and crops are getting submerged under the water whenever there is a flood. So it is on an average on the annual basis, it is about 3.7 million of hectares. And if we look at the losses, then you can see that every year the flood damages are increasing, and there are many reasons of this, because we have seen that when population is increasing, then people are encroaching upon the floodplain. So those areas which are susceptible to flood, as such, there is no policy from the government side to restrict the people to encroach upon the floodplain. As a result, even though if this similar trend is observed in the flood, people are getting affected, and the lot of damages of the lives and properties are being seen in those areas. So if we call about the causes of the floods, these are the various causes because of the flood is resulting. It is the intense precipitation, inadequate capacity within the river banks to absorb the flood, landslide leading to the obstruction of the flow and the river's course, retardation of flow due to tidal and backwater effect, poor natural drainage congestion, cyclone, heavy rainstorms, cloudburst, snow melt and glacier outburst flood, and dam break flow. These are the various regions which are responsible for the floods. If we are talking about the river floods, the input for the river floods are the rain, snow and ice melt, ice jams, landslide, dam failures. And the various factors which are affecting the river floods are the basin factor which are some stable, variable, drainage network, channel factor. So now when we are talking about the flood problems in India, they are categorized in these basins like Brahmaputra, Ganga, Northwest River Basin, Central India, and Deccan River Basin. Special flood problems, in addition to those problems which I have mentioned, there are some special flood problems like problem of Tal areas, it is normally observed in Bihar and Jharkhand, where saucer type of topography is there, and whenever there is a rain in that particular area, throughout the rainy season, the water is stagnated there, and then after 2-3 months, then this particular Tal areas water either it goes into the ground or it evaporates. Urban flooding is another situation, and river bank and bed erosion, flash flood, sediment transport by the rivers. These are the problem in the alluvial plains. Flood due to snow melt and glacier melt, that is we call as a glacier outburst floods, time break floods, and flood in coastal areas because of the cyclone and etc. These are the special flood problems which we are facing. So normally when we go for the adaptation for the flood management, there are two kind of measures are adopted. One is the structural measures and another one is the non-structural measures. Under the structural measures, dams and reservoirs are used as a flood control measures. Drainage improvement are carrying out. Detention basins are used. Embankments are constructed to protect the important city from the floods. Channel improvement, watershed management, flood proofing. These are the various structural measures for the flood mitigation and management. Under the non-structural measures of the flood mitigation and management, flood forecasting, disaster mitigation system and preparedness, floodplain zoning and flood insurance, these are the non-structural measures. These non-structural measures, out of these non-structural measures, flood forecasting is the system presently is being used by Central Water Commission to forecast the flood on some of the important site, but this particular, they are having some limited site, about 250 sites where the flood forecasting are being carried out. But unfortunately for our reservoir system, we don't have the inflow forecasting system. So what we found that although those reservoirs, they are considered to be the flood controlling structures, but in absence of the real-time flood forecasting system, sometimes they create the flood problems, because in absence of the information about the upstream inflow floods which is entering into the reservoir, it is extremely difficult to operate the reservoir for this real-time control the real-time floods. So these non-structural measures, although they are very important, but still a lot has to be done in this particular aspect, and this is having a greater scope here. Even floodplain zoning bill has been passed, but none of the state has adopted it. So as a result, people have occupied the floodplain, and they are getting affected every year, and they are asking for the flood relief fund. So these kind of things are there. So this has to be looked into, that how can we regulate our floodplain so that damages can be minimized. So other than that, flood hazard modeling can be carried out, and for that different kind of maps can be prepared, like flood inundation map, flood hazard maps, flood risk zone maps, floodplain zoning maps. All these maps can be prepared. And for one of the river stretch in the river Ganga, our institute has prepared these kind of maps, and similar kind of exercise have to be repeated for the other river basin. And when we are talking about the holistic flood mitigation approach, then there are 3 stages, and we have to carry out certain activities. Pre-flood preparedness has to be there, operations during the flood period, and post-flood response. Under these category, our holistic flood mitigation things are there. And training of the personnels are very important, because flood is not a business just of the technical person. All affected and the rescue, relief, everybody is involved. So their role must be fully defined. Like flood disaster management team must be trained, that what responsibility they have to perform. Administrators have to be trained. Armed forces have to be trained, that what work they have to do in the emergency situation. Police personnel have to be trained, fire and emergency services personnel have to be trained, medical personnel have to be trained, and NGOs who are going to extend the help to the flood affected people, they have to be trained, that what action has to be there, and an integrated approach is required for the effective flood management. So the measures for the flood mitigation I have just listed here. that what measures need to be taken for the flood mitigation. That is the better gauging of the rivers, collection of meteorological information and mapping of channel is needed. Better mapping of actual stream channels and river banks, including landslide and erosion potential, have to be evaluated. Better and current information about the human population and infrastructure, elevation and channels need to be incorporated into flood and risk assessment models. Better sharing of information between forecasters, state agencies, relief organizations and general public is important. Need for the special models integrating precipitation, stream monitoring, watershed characteristics to maximize the accuracy and effectiveness of the forecast are needed. For the flood response plan, the system require some response system is needed, institutionalization is required, evacuation plan need to be prepared well in advance, and that so that it should be placed immediately whenever flood emergency is there. Estimation of the severity of the flood has to be there for the various situation. Flood management plan has to be placed there. Search and rescue teams have to be formed prior to the occurrence of the flood. Emergency relief that must be ready during the flood period, and emergency medical relief has to be there. So when we are talking about the flood, particularly in the Himalayan region, we are experiencing flash flood. This is the third consecutive years when this particular Himalayan belt is experiencing this flash floods. And this year it has been extremely bad year for the Himalayan region, and there was an extensive flooding, flash floods. So so there is a basic difference in the flash flood and riverine floods. I will not go into each of the point. I think you will be getting this presentation. You can see that what is the basic difference which are there in the flash flood and riverine floods. So the basic the meteorologically, the factor responsible for the flash flood is the cloud burst, and it is an extreme amount of precipitation, sometime with hail and thunder. This kind of cloud burst has occurred. This year, it is around 50 to 60 cloud burst has occurred in the Himalayan region, and that has created havoc there. And out of it, 16th and 17th June flood was that was very destructive flood, and it has resulted the roads were washed out, culverts, bridges, even the hydropower structures and all the infrastructures which are there in the Uttarakhand region, in those areas, they have been washed out. Even that Kedarnath temple, except the Kedarnath temple, all the other infrastructure which were developed there, that was completely washed out. You might have seen on the television all the guest houses and buildings which were there on the bank of the river, they were washed out. So it was a very severe cloud burst on the 16th and 17th June, and that has occurred for 2 days. So both the days damages were occurred. Normally when we talk about the IMD, then 100 millimeter of rain, if it is more than in an hour, is considered to be cloud burst. And this particular rain, there was about within 2-3 hours, there was a rain of about more than 365 millimeters. So that was the factor which was responsible mainly for the cloud burst and the flash flood which has occurred in the Himalayan region. So for the prediction of the cloud burst, at present in the Himalayan region, there is no radar, so and no information available. And even for communication also, the people were not aware that these kind of events they are going to face, and because of that, heavy losses have occurred and the casualties were there. So for the flash flood management, what we suggest that advanced and real-time forecasting of precipitation using radar and satellite technology have to be placed in there, and advanced system of data acquisition in real time has to be there, because a lot of advanced communication systems are there, so they can be used for the data acquisition, and data transmission to the forecasting site has to be made. Formulation of the forecast has to be there, and flood warning has to be issued, and proper dissemination has to be done to the appropriate authorities. So these are the steps which are involved in flash flood management. Glacial Lake outburst flood, already Sanjay Jain has told in his presentation. So this I have shown some of the photographs of the Uttarakhand. You can see the devastation which has been resulted in this year. So you can see that these were the Lord Shiva in Rishikesh. Rishikesh was protected because of our Tehri Dam. If it would not be then Haridwar and Rishikesh would also have been affected. But because of the Tehri Dam, both of these cities have been saved. Otherwise, upstream there was extensive damages. So these are the situation. You can see that the damage was like that. So what I will suggest that integrated flood management is required, and for that element of this integrated flood management is to manage the water cycle as a whole, integrate land and water management, manage risk and uncertainty, adopt a best mix of the strategies, ensure a participatory approach, adopt integrated hazard management approaches. So research on this integrated flood management is needed for the reducing flooding, reducing vulnerability to the flood damage, preserving the natural resource of the floodplains, mitigating the impacts of the flooding, climate change aspect, and the manual strategies that has to be formed, and some sort of decision support system is required for the integrated flood management. So in short, we can say that I have categorized the concluding remarks in the two parts. One is the technical remarks, that first thing is that in those areas, particularly in the Himalayan region, there are no hydrometeorological and hydrological network in that area, and there is no communication system in that area. So data collection and database management is very important task in that particular area. Earning warning system and communication technology that has to be used so that the communication system must be in place in that particular area. And high resolution numerical models and meso scale observation, high performance computers and Doppler weather radars for prediction of the cloudburst is required, and suitable structural and non-structural measures for flash flood risk management have to be there. GLOF risk mapping and simulation is needed. And another factor we have seen there this year is that there were landslides, extensive landslides were there because of the intense intensity. The rainfall was quite intense, so there was a extensive landslide in those areas, and because of that this flooding have been very extensive flooding have been there. Whenever there was a failure of that river was blocked because of the landslide boulders and other things, and whenever they have been released, they have caused they have resulted the mud flows, and extensive damages have been caused in that downstream portion. So possible risk reduction measures for scientific management of landslide has to be there. Simulation of the mud flows, because clear water flows, most of the models, they take only the clear water flows. But this particular phenomena which we have observed in the Himalayan region, all the flows, they were full of the mud. Then how can we simulate this mud flows? That is one of the important challenge for the hydrologists, that how can we simulate that. And design flood for the culverts, bridges, barrages, because Uttarakhand has to go for again modernization of all those things which have been lost there. So for that they have to again revisit the design flood estimates in light of the recent floods which have occurred in those areas, because most of the bridges and culverts, they have been washed away. So again they have to reconstruct all those things. So while reconstructing, they should give serious consideration to this particular aspect. Another thing which you have seen, that was a peculiar thing, that although embankment has been constructed, but the river has changed the course. So now the people who are fully confident they will be saved, but because of the embankment, but the river has changed the course, and they have entered into the villages, and the whole of the villages were washed away. So these kind of phenomena has also occurred during this year flooding. So what was the reason? Whether there was some regime change because of the structures which we had been provided to the river system, or because of the sand mining which are going on in extensive manner in those areas, that has resulted this kind of situation, that has to be fully investigated. Yeah, okay, I think I have also given that what should be the administrative approach as a general remark. You will be having this slide. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Singh.